I'm doing my due diligence. I'm doing my research, and I come across. I want to be correct if you casted this, but I come across the "You So Black" video
Oh
on
yeah.
Fam. Listen, I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah. That was powerful. That was impactful. Yeah.
Yo, it really moved. I watched it like 3 or 4 times. Yo.
Yeah. And they don't do anything like that anymore.
Yeah.
And I thought that that was really dope. Whoever was leading like their marketing team that year,
Yeah.
that was amazing. But they stopped, I want to say in like 2021.
Mm, man. But you casted obviously for like incredibly big people. Issa Rae, Nike, Yahoo, TikTok. You led influencer campaigns for Yahoo, Uber, Apple. How did you even get into casting and then also building this 50,000 group
Yeah.
creative community?
Yeah. Hold on one second because my son is already making the.
Okay.
Hold on, I'm gonna mute. Okay, I think we're good. I just told him to go in the room. He's upstairs playing in the hallway, like, bruh, please. Hold on, let me make sure they close. Oh my
How
God.
old is he?
He's 6 and his sister's 11. So I'm like, go in the room and chill. He just wants to be in the hallway. Like,
He wants to support what mom's is doing. I can understand.
so you were basically asking like, how did I get started? Basically,
Yeah, how'd you get started as a casting director? And I've noticed you built a creative community of 50,000 people. You produced, I'm sorry, you casted and led influencer campaigns for all these different brands.
mm-hmm.
What got you started?
I'm gonna pause because I think this is crooked and it's like bothering me. It's so annoying. Okay.
I was gonna say, yo, that's a beautiful piece. I can only see half of it, but I was gonna say it is dope.
Yeah, so this is Ike Slimster. He's like based in New York. He's a really cool artist. These are like some of his prints on campus.
Okay.
But yeah, so okay, how did I get into casting? So, I went to Morgan in Baltimore. I'm originally from Maryland. I went to Morgan. Yeah. And my last semester, I took a screenwriting and a script writing class. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is what I want to do. Because I was majoring in communications, specifically radio, which is like kind of funny, but I just had a lot of credits in radio. So I just kept going. Yeah, I that was my last semester. And I was like, I really like this media thing. And so I was like working in like sales and marketing jobs and I hated it. And so I went back to school. I got my master's in film and media. And at the same time, I found like one of the only production companies in Maryland called Sirens. And they were doing like docudrama shows. So like crime shows, so TV ones for my man. They were doing like Southern Fried Homicides, shows that are like snaps. Those shows.
Yeah.
She killed her husband, whatever. So it was like crime shows and I was casting actors. But basically I went there, I interned for them for like 6 weeks. They had a production runner program. And if they like you, they just offer you a job and you take whatever job that they have, basically.
Yeah.
So they offered me a casting job. And I was like, oh, huh?
You had never done it before up until that point?
Well, a couple times I assisted somebody who was doing casting as a runner.
Yeah.
So, okay, like that seems cool. I'll do that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I started. I actually was doing like casting and wardrobe, and I was like, what the heck, like, no background in this, but I will say I did grow up doing like acting auditions and like modeling. Like my cousin's a videographer, so I did like a commercial with him. Like I kind of grew up like doing that, like headshot thing, open call stuff. So it was sort of familiar to me, especially the casting thing, because it's like, people would come and they would audition, and I did kind of know how to run it because I had been auditioning before. So yeah, I got that job, and like the first day they just handed me a stack of headshots and resumes and were like, good luck. And I was just like, what am I supposed to do? Like, well, and this is like 2015, but I'm like, this is so inefficient. So I created an email list so that I could like, at least I was like, if I just put all these people's emails into like a list, then I can just email them instead of calling them every single time I have a role one by one. Like, so I just compiled an email list and I started, my other colleagues, I would like put all their talents emails in lists. And I just started like emailing all the casting calls that I had and that my coworkers had.
Yeah.
I would send them out. And so of course it started small, like 50, models and actors in the DMV. And then it grew over the years. So now it's over 50,000 people because I've been posting casting calls for actors and models. And then I pivoted into the content creator space around like 2018, 2019. because it used to be called Be on TV DMV, and then it was called Be on TV USA, and then in like 2018, 2019, I changed the name to Digital Influence because I realized that most of the people on my list were like Gen Z and like young millennials, and they just weren't really interested in being actors. Like most of them were more interested in being influencers. So I was like, um, yeah, I feel like it's similar, but I can tailor it more towards what everybody wants, which is the opportunity to work as an influencer. So that's where it came from. And then as far as casting, after I worked at Sirens, I started doing reality TV shows. So like dating shows. I worked on The Bachelorette, Temptation Island, Ready to Love, a lot. Love and Hip Hop, just so many. Housewives of Potomac. I don't know, a lot. Like a lot of shows. They're really fun. I worked on like a fashion series for HBO called The Hype. That was really cool. And then I also worked in like editorials. So I cast like models and celebrities for like Vogue and Harper's Bazaar. So that was fun. And then I pivoted into working with creators on those meta campaigns in 2020. So that was like professionally the pivot, but I had pivoted my email list a few years before that because I could just see like that's where people's interests were. Like people didn't care so much about like, oh, I want to be an actor. I need to take acting classes.
They could be an actor online themselves. They can be famous on.
Right.
Was that the attitude you felt like with just that declaration? It's like, I don't need to go through a studio or an agent. I have a YouTube channel.
It was almost like still to this day, I even feel weird calling opportunities like casting calls because I feel like they're like, okay, what is a casting call though? Like, it's just like I'm a millennial. So when I was coming up, it was probably more interesting to be an actor.
Yeah.
But I just noticed like people were more interested in opportunities that like weren't acting. So it was like acting's kind of like lame.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it was like acting's kind of like,
Yeah.
like I'm good. I could just be a creator and probably make more than acting. Yeah.
More money.
Yeah.
What's been the biggest difference you feel like working with and casting actors, folks that literally train for this, grew up to be this, compared to like content creators?
Well, a lot of time actors are like too stiff.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're so trained. Sometimes it's really hard. Like a lot of the clients I work with who want to work with creators and influencers, they actually prefer not to work with actors usually. There's sometimes where they're like, okay, an actor would be good, but usually they prefer just someone who's not an actor because actors are like, they're so trained and it's like, it doesn't always feel natural. They almost want the imperfections. You know, they want the people who stutter.
It's like the authenticity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, it's just more imperfect and that resonates with people a little bit more.
Yeah. And now your posts have been blowing up about one, obviously the one you posted about Issa, that one blew up, obviously. Yeah. But then also the one you posted about just recently, the Destination reality TV series, 6 content creators. So like, what's the concept here? What are we going for?
Yeah. I'll tell you like where the idea came from. And I'll give you like the vision.
Because I've seen your work and it's dope. And so I'm like, this shit's going to be dope.
It is. So a few months ago, I don't know if you follow these creators. They're on TikTok. It was like Raymonte,
yes,
DeAndre, Davy Bad, Malik.
And the whole blow up, because Essence didn't sponsor it, there was a lot of backlash.
Okay, so Essence was so they went to Bali. That's
first birthday, Raymond's birthday party. Yeah.
Yeah. So was Essence supposed to sponsor that?
Well, that was apparently Essence had reached out to Raymond about potentially like doing something. Okay. And then it according to Raymond, like they didn't show him the best love. So that relationship sort of like broke down. Yep. And, you know, Essence put out their comments about it and Raymond put out comments about it. But everyone was saying basically was like the community and the culture was saying like, yo, since like y'all could have like sponsored his birthday trip and it could have been a whole collaboration thing, what have you. But obviously it didn't turn out that way. But that was Facebook.
So I knew he had a back and forth with Essence. I didn't know that they had anything going on relating to the Bali trip. But what I will say is when I saw the clips with all of them like getting to Bali, seeing all their different POVs, seeing the comments, seeing people discover like other people that they didn't know about already, you know, or they'd be like, oh, I didn't know Raymonte and Davey were friends. Like just seeing that happen for me with the reality TV background, I was like, no, like this is reality TV right here. Like we need all of this compiled into like a 30-minute we need like a 3-part series, 30
Yeah.
minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, because that's what everyone was saying. It was like that's where, and, it's what's so interesting, man. Because again, like you see that content coming out, and you immediately have this idea, and you're acting on it, right? And I think that was the sort of the irritation with Essence. It's like everyone is saying, millions of followers are saying, like, yo, like we want to see this in real time
Yeah.
from different points of views, like their experiences, all of the things.
Yeah.
Y'all get behind this and like full production team support them. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I don't know why. I will say that it's like a new form of media where, of course, brands are sponsoring content. They're sponsoring a post. They're even doing brand trips, but haven't really married it with the reality TV aspect yet. And it's like, it's this brand new thing. I was just speaking with someone today. He's a producer and he produced like 2 seasons of like an RV renovation series, like DIY.
Yeah.
Like he assembled like 3 teams and they all like worked on their own RVs and buses, and they were sponsored by some different brands that, are in that industry. And it was shot really well. Like it looks beautiful, like totally professionally done. And I think that this new form of media where, and everyone he worked with was like creators and influencers in the space, like
Gotcha.
and I just feel like this is where media is going. Yeah, we still want to see like random people go on dates and stuff on dating shows, but I think that we want to see creators, our favorite creators or creators that we don't know of yet, even interacting with each other and or being a part of formats like TV formats that have already been successful. So we know a reality show like The Real World that's successful. We know a Jersey Shore is successful. We know Summer House and Bad Girls Club and all of those types of shows and formats are successful. Now we want to see creators that we like and we know and that we follow, and that so maybe we don't all come together and participate in these already successful formats. So that's
my bad. I didn't control. Go ahead.
No, that's it. I was just saying that's the goal.
Do you have is there a show right now or a video that you could point to right now and be like, yo, that's what is someone that's already doing this? Or do you feel like this is something that's very much original in the sense like we're going to work with creators specifically on this?
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it, which I'm thankful for. Because if that would be the call, man. Like, yeah, I mean, I think Zeus is close in some of their formats. I'm certainly not looking to go that route with it, where it's kind of like, like that bad girls energy. That's really the vibe. Of course there will be drama, but we're not looking to like push and promote that. But yeah, I would say like having familiar names and faces in one space. In that sense, I would say some of the Zeus shows could be similar.
Gotcha. Man, how long is the trip for? 7. Okay, so wait a minute. 7 days, 6 creators. Mm-hmm. Let me get a bit behind. Is there an opportunity, like, do they get a chance to get to know each other or anything like that? What does that look like?
Yeah, it's pretty much, it's like free. Like, we're not going to structure too much. There may be 1 or 2 activities a day, but like, I believe that a lot of times, like, the story evolves and you realize what the story is after the fact. Yeah. Like, there's been times where I was like I'll go on a trip with my friends and I'm like recording stuff. And I think that it's going to be about like this person's birthday. Yeah. Really, like after the whole weekend ends, I realized like, wait, I actually caught footage of this happening. You know what I mean? Like, the birthday happened, but actually what happened? Yeah. So, some of it is going to be about just letting the story evolve. Yeah. So yeah. And then also will be like confessionals and things like that to help give us context along the way. Man,
that's dope. So how do you go about, I know it gotta be, first of all, girl, you gotta put 50,000 creators. I know it's gotta be hard to like that community. So what are you looking for in those 6 creators?
Yeah, I have a lot of submissions I was going through today. Yeah.
Wait, are you doing it by yourself or you got a team?
No, I'm doing the casting myself. I started reaching out to some people that I have in mind like the week ago. So I'm like going back and forth with because they're kind of bigger creators. So I'm going back and forth with their agents. And then I did that general outreach post on LinkedIn. Yeah. So that generated a lot of submissions, as well as I reached out to my email list, of course, and a lot of submissions came through there. So now I'm between the emails and the submissions, I'm looking through, and there's a lot of really cool talent. And a big part of it is going to be casting, because honestly, casting is going to be almost like really make or break, because there's so many different directions we can go. Like we could do all girls, we could do couples, we could do different ages together. We can do all Gen Z, we could do all millennial, we could mix Gen Z millennial, we could do all Black, we could do, there's so many ways to do it. So right now I'm like taking a deep breath and just responding and looking at every single submission and just seeing what makes sense. And then it also will depend on who we end up working with. You know, we have several brands that we're having conversations with, and that's going to also, in a way, dictate those. Yeah.
Is it hard as a storyteller, yourself as a caster, someone who's like really in tune with the art form of this? Is it difficult to balance that? Because we've gone through that as a media company, right? Balance that line between you need the sponsors, you need the brand partnerships, but also I want to tell the story a certain way. Oh, the sponsors and brands are like, hey, maybe can we tweak that? I was like, oh, no.
Yeah. It's hard, especially because it's a reality show format and it's not going to be like rated PG, commercial friendly. Like it's going to be, you know, there might be cussing, there might be making out, it might be drinking, it might be, you know.
It's 6 people traveling to a destination together, like, you know, or meeting up at a destination together.
Yeah. And so I think that that's been a topic that's come up a lot, is sort of that brand safety piece. Like how much risk are they willing to take on? As far as like to and we really don't know.
You balance that, like how did you approach that before, or have you had to approach that in a certain way before?
My thing is, and this goes into like my platform, I'm not looking to create anything that's like, I would say like grandma friendly. Like, you know, you should be able to watch it with your grandma. Like she may not like everything going on, but like it shouldn't be like, oh my God, like send the kids upstairs, like grandma can't watch this. Like it, you know, it's not a family show, but it shouldn't be like super offensive and super insane. Like, I want it to be pretty much like PG 13ish or like R if we had to rate it like a movie, you know. Yeah, I wouldn't do anything past that. So it's gonna be somewhat clean, but still interesting at the same
What reality show right now you would somewhat compare it to?
As far as being clean, probably like a network show, like a Summer House, I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Man, yo, another reason why I love this, and I want to know if you thought about this. The travel element of this is what really stood out to me. So that's a quick background of what we do. Culture Travels Media. We cover all things travel, culture, and experiences. And I started this when I was an expat in China, and everything you are describing about the reality show you're putting together was everything that I was experiencing when I lived in China. And I was like, yo, someone should definitely do a show about the Black expat experience. Like, at the time, I think Issa Rae Insecure had just come out, actually. And I was sitting up, I was like, oh, damn, everything that is, just put it in the context of China. That is what we're living and experiencing right now. You got Black expats from everywhere all around, just in Beijing, living our lives to the fullest. It was the most beautiful, complex fucking experience I ever had in my life. And I'm like, yo, this would be such an inspiring show. So anyway, long story. I see that and I start this brand. And your show, for me, is like a step in that direction. Like travelers, and I'm going to speak, I know there's a ton of different type of creators out there, but especially like Black travelers, what we're experiencing, and you know this, you're a traveler yourself, but when we go out into the world and we are influenced and therefore lend our influence to other different cultures, and the way that shapes us and reframes us within the American context is such rich storytelling behind all of that. And to see, I feel like I'm swaying you to make it an all Black show.
I'm already there.
Bro, I'm like, yo, man, it's just the most beautiful, like beautiful thing for us to experience ourselves collectively outside of the US. All of that brings up. And so, man, I'm really excited that you're doing this and taking out, regardless of how it turns out, but I do think it's a really good step in that direction. And the other piece I'm so excited, and I want to get your thoughts on this, the destination. I know you said it's either St. Lucie or Miami. That may even change, but it is an opportunity for your show to also spotlight this destination and promote it as a place to visit and see. Which is why I was like, yo, I think our travel creators would vibe out to this as an opportunity. They're doing a thing. But why is now you feel like a good time for creators in your community and creators that are now about to be introduced to you to like sort of explore opportunities like this reality TV series and different projects like this?
Well, it's interesting because, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, and most of the creators that I see on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
I don't know if this is for a particular reason, and I don't think I've gone out of my way to like befriend travel creators specifically,
Yeah.
but like most of the creators on LinkedIn are travel creators. And I
Yeah.
always see them like, sharing obviously their travels, but then they'll post like, hey, I'm headed to Tokyo. If any brands want to
Yeah.
sponsor my YouTube series about, 12 days in Tokyo, let me know. And they put their email. And I'm like, this is really interesting because again, we're moving in this direction of like branded, it's branded content, but it's like branded production. And like I think that specifically travel content is a better vehicle for the brands
Let me understand. How?
because they can more seamlessly integrate. If I'm sitting here in my kitchen and I'm like, yeah, use this lip gloss, like going out.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. But if I'm going to Tokyo and I'm going to stop by the, Revlon studios in Tokyo and, got my lip gloss, you
Yeah.
can
Yeah. Yeah.
seamlessly integrate a brand into your travel story, um, in subtle and non-subtle ways. It's just interesting. It's more interesting. And then also I feel like depending on the location, but I feel like there are very few exceptions. Sometimes the location, and we talk about this in like production, sometimes the location is like a character or like a background.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But yeah, like and it's crazy because I just got back from Scotland. I was in Scotland last week for a travel editors roundtable. I got something in my eye. I had never been to Scotland before, so I was really excited to
Yeah.
get something away. And I told everybody what really set with me being there was Scotland, the place and the people, the characters
Mm-hmm.
reminded me of human decency, what it looks like, what it feels like,
Well,
especially coming from the US, right? Where things are so hot right now. Things are hot right now. And so Scotland was decent. It was mild and cool and just laid back. And nature was alive and vibrant. And it had this harmonious relationship with the people in the community. And so this calm, cool, collected, open, hospitable character helped me heal a little bit
well,
in that week because I carried a lot into that trip. I had it released, and that character was speaking to me and it helped me heal. And so, to your point, man, like because I think destinations. One of the things we try to do with destinations is consider different marketing opportunities and branding opportunities outside of what they've typically done. And so to your point, like why not position your destination as a character in one of your productions? I feel like the White Lotus does that very well now.
yeah.
Position the destination as a character.
Yeah. And that's a successful version of this. And this can go in a lot of directions. Like brands can be working with filmmakers and creators to do movies, TV shows, scripted and unscripted, documentaries. Like there's so much that can be done in this space and it's going to happen. So we're just going to get in front of it.
I don't know, you say you're not set on St. Lucia or Miami, but how did you end up with these two options, these two destinations?
Yeah, so I'm in South Florida, and then my producer is from South Florida. So for us, it just like made so much sense. He could come back and forth really easily. I'm already here all the time, so we have between us our connections. Like it just made sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, domestic is like cheaper when it comes to like flights, but St. Lucia came up just because a resort in St. Lucia is really interested in the project, and so if we move forward with them, but again, we haven't like locked it in.
Yeah.
And there are other brands in the space that are interested and that could change where we shoot. Right now, I would say those are the two likely scenarios, but I would say still open.
Yeah. Cool. What should the six content creators you eventually select, what should they expect? Like from the moment they say boom, they say you're in, what should they expect moving forward?
If we're interested and they're interested,
Yeah.
their cast, yeah, they'll be connected with our production team, who will just basically book their flights and make sure that their accommodations are all set up. And we'll be communicating with them between now and the shoot, locking in the deliverables and creating an agreement that lays all of that information out so that it's clear for everybody. And then, yeah, they'll arrive on set. Like I said, it won't be too much. I've seen a lot of shows where it's like they structure a lot of activities, and, you know, my producer has a lot of ideas. So it'll be like a mix of our styles because I'm just kind of like, oh, let them do what they want. Just let them show up and hang
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
He's like, yeah, well, on day one, I think we should do this, and day two, this and this. I'm like, okay. So it'll be like a mix of those two types of like themes going into it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like a little bit of definitely downtime because they need the downtime in order to connect with their surroundings and with each other. But then also there will be activities that also foster that.
Yeah. Yo, so obviously you also travel a lot in your work. How do you, I feel like travel from person has definitely influenced my writing, my creativity, just my outlook on life.
Yeah.
How do you feel travel has influenced your career, your creativity, and like your community building? 50,000 people, that's nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I feel like the more I travel, the more I miss home. That's the crazy thing. Yeah,
I
the more
feel that. I feel that.
I miss home. Like, I really like being in new places, but it always makes me realize like what I had growing up in the DMV. Like, it's very,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, it's pretty pro-Black. See a lot of thriving Black communities, and it's really special. And like when I go to other places where I don't see that. You know, it's like a lot of beauty, a lot going on, a lot of cool stuff. But I'm like, there's really nothing like home, though. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. But I love traveling for work. That's like my favorite thing because I get to go for free. Favorite thing, actually. Yeah,
What's your favorite city in the U.S.?
I guess LA.
LA.
Yeah, outside of like where I'm from, DMV. I
Yeah.
spent years in New York, so I'm not gonna say New York. I'm in South Florida. I would say LA. I like to visit LA.
What's your favorite international city?
I think San Juan.
Word. Girl, I thought you were gonna say Tokyo. You had Tokyo like
Well, I want to go to Tokyo. I haven't been. I'm hoping I get to go to Tokyo, and I'm hoping I get to go to Beijing this year because I'm working on some Chinese projects, like in the
let me know.
Okay,
Let
yeah.
me know.
I feel like so China is doing a lot of interesting work in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
media space.
Yeah.
They have a bunch of like apps that do like dramas, and it's really interesting. I'm interested to see where they're gonna go next. But I am doing some casting for some of those types of companies. So I'm like trying to get out to Beijing, just to be on set and see what's going on and check out the scene down there because they're doing a lot of production.
It was so freeing, man. Like I felt like when I was in Beijing, I could just create. There was no, I mean, literally, me and the only one day. It's all starting because I was licked twice by one of my Chinese students from my wrist to my elbow. She thought I was made. Her parents thought I was made of chocolate. This is when I was a teacher. She had never. Hold on, it gets better. Like actually gets better. And so her parents she kept crying because she had to come to my class. She had never seen a dark skinned person before, and I don't have one as a teacher. So her parents tell her this, that I'm a chocolate bunny, they're calm her down. Anyway, I have that conversation with her parents. And me and Naomi realized, because something similar happened to him at a different school, we realized, like, oh, Black folk are having really interesting experiences in Beijing, in China, by and large. And it's this complex conundrum of, man, like we feel so much more free here than we ever have in the US.
Really?
Absolutely, Ashley. I felt more free as a Black man in China than I did in the US. And I mean, you're talking about it was a literal like police, police on every corner. But it just felt like you could do whatever you want, create whatever you want, launch whatever you want, collaborate with whoever you want to. Regardless of the language barrier, there are always ways around that language barrier. Maybe you got a Chinese friend that speaks really good English, right? But they got a family member that studied abroad and is now back in Beijing, really good English. So you can do and build and create. So we created our brand for 2.5 years, organizing events all throughout Beijing and Shanghai, even brought in some LA artists on some spoken word projects. I was like, again, like, yo, someone should document it. This is crazy out here in China. And it's what I always tell people, like, I love when Black folks say, I want to go to China and experience it because we have a long history with that country. The Black Panthers went there back in the 60s. Like, Black creatives, intellectuals have have a long standing relationship with Southeast Asia in general and China specifically.
Yeah.
And so, man, Beijing that city's crazy, yo. I recommend it.
Okay. I'm gonna make my way. Yeah. That sounds really cool. Like are you into like astrocartography since you travel?
You know what? I can't. More people on my team are than I certainly am. They try to push me that way, but I'm just not. I'm not.
Yeah. I don't really understand the maps and stuff, but the few times that I've looked, it always points me to that area. Yeah, like it always says that I will really enjoy like Japan, like that just that general area of the world. So I'm like, all right, maybe I should make my way over there. Just,
You should, man. You'll just did an interview 2 weeks ago with sister named Christina out of Canada, who wrote a book called Black Beauty's Guide in Japan. And she wrote it because she worked for L'Oreal, MAC, all these different brands. And then when she moved to Japan, obviously she couldn't find anything so she set out of necessity, she created this guide for Black people that lived in Japan and moved to Japan. So they could find like hair products, salons, barbershops, because again, those places exist. Just like in Beijing, there were Black barbershops, Black salon. Like we had set up shop. We had this shop, yo. So man, anyway, yes, go to Beijing, yo. If you train, go to Beijing.
Yeah.
And happy to help where we can, yo. That's a great experience, yo. All right. I know I ain't gonna keep you forever. Last question, yo. How can travel creators specifically? Well, you know what? I don't think I got your thoughts on. I do want to get your thoughts on this. Speaking of destination specifically, how can a destination, let's say St. Lucia, Miami, or Thailand, or Bali, how can they sort of leverage travel content creators and reality TV to boost tourism to their destination, or just make them more attractive as a destination? How do you see that as an opportunity?
So how can the destination itself?
Yeah, like say and we hear like you're coming to St. Lucia, like, hey, let's partner with them to, boost tourism to St. Lucia, Miami.
I mean, that speaks to like the production conversation. I mean, that would be like helping us with like any type of permitting or licensing, just making our lives easier when it comes to that. And then maybe connecting us with anybody who could be helpful, maybe guides, maybe security. Yeah. And I would say offering to connect us with like businesses and that sort of thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, thank you. I think there's definitely an opportunity there for destinations to be collaborating and partnering with you. I've been saying that for travel content creators and expat groups as well. Because I could just see so many people watching the show and be like, oh, I just want to go experience that place.
Yeah.
Because this is where that happened, or this is where that episode happened, or, whatever the case may be. All right. So you got a lot of folks, a lot of applications to look through. What advice do you have for travel creators, content creators in general who apply? How can they stand out and like best position themselves to get noticed?
Yeah. So being that this is a reality show with like an ensemble cast, personality is going to be big. Like, I need to see, like I was reviewing some people today, and some people are just creators, which is nothing wrong with that. And then some people clearly have personality, and the more personality that they're showing, the better feel I can get for how they're going to be on the show. Like that helped me figure out the plot and this all comes together. So just having a big personality is helpful, or a personality. You would be surprised how many people like don't have personality. Like you would be surprised. Like, yeah. So
you said a person.
Yeah, like some people just don't have it, and that's okay. And there's like definitely levels to it. There's people with huge personalities, and there's people who are, more, chill and laid back. But even the chill and laid back people, that's a personality. You know what I mean? There's people who literally like don't have personality, like NPCs, or maybe they just don't want to have a personality online. Yeah. Nothing I can do with that. So I need something to work with. Like,
do you have to do a lot of coaching on set sometimes with your creators to like just get up?
No, because I would not select somebody.
Everybody need a little boost.
Well, here's the other thing, and that I was going to add this to the like response to your question, is that in addition to having personality, the creators that I usually would work with would be people who, and this is going to be a little different because they're not necessarily making the content. The content's going to be produced outside of them. But typically I would work with creators who already understand production quality. So they already understand good lighting, good editing, good sound, streaming. And so it's somebody like that who already has personality. They don't need much coaching. Like it really wouldn't be much because they just get it. Yeah. So this could be a little different because I'm leaning a lot more towards personality with this. and like what type of content do they make? Because it's not really about the content that they're going to post. It's about
It's more about the personality of the person.
yeah on the cast of the show. So that's a little different with this. But yeah, I don't anticipate coaching anybody.
Do you know what personalities you'll be looking for already? Or do you feel like you'll know once you see it? They were silly, arrogant, comedic, annoying.
I mean, I always am looking for comedic. Yeah, I'm always leaning towards comedy creators. But yeah, no, it's totally open, and it's just going to be about how does the group all fit together. Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to share about the show, about your amazing career? Again, congratulations on the show. Anything else you want to share?
You know what? I will talk a little bit about the platform. All of this show is going to premiere on my streaming platform called Water, which is currently being.
I saw that today. Congrats.
Yeah, so thank you. So it's going to be distributed, of course, amongst the creators on their socials and like the brand socials in clips. It's going to be on YouTube in full form, but it will also be on the Water streaming platform, and this will be like the launch of the platform.
That's what's up, yo. Are you looking to become a distributor for travel related shows or reality TV shows for other creators that, and producers?
Yeah, so the whole premise of the platform is to be basically sourcing and also producing original content that's focused on creators. And it will be scripted, unscripted, vlog, documentary, whatever people want to make. It could be stand-up comedy, just anything like that's focused on creators and like filmmakers and just independent people. I feel like that's the new, like I said, that's the new form of media. And so that's what we want to show.
We'll call you when we're done producing our pilot episode.
Yeah, please. Yeah,
we have 2 of them. We just wrapped up our travel cooking show.
Oh, cool.
And I'll be going to New York end of April to get started on our travel fashion show. Where
interesting.
Our travel writer, she styles people before their trips. Yeah, man. We can talk. We are building a sort of full-scale media production show firmly in the travel and culture space. It's just too much you can do there, yo. Like travel and sports.
Yeah.
Travel and fashion, travel and food, there's just so much we can create in that space. And so again, when I saw, I was like, this is, all right, somebody gets it.
Yeah.
Somebody gets it.
Definitely want to hear more about the types of like productions you're going to do. And I would be happy to feature.
Absolutely. We will connect, man. So you're based out of Miami, like, period. Aventura, like, Aventura was just Miami.
Huh?
Aventura was just like, getting started when I was growing up in Miami.
Really? Yeah. I like being over here. When I first got to Miami, I was on the beach and it was pretty, but it was tough. So you understand why. It was I wasn't expecting Miami to be so racist. I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah. Had you not been there before?
Not really. I drove through one time. So I kind of it was like, oh yeah, like my kid's dad got a job in Miami during COVID, and he was like, yeah, like should I take the job? I was like, because we were living in New York, I was like, yeah, let's go to Miami. Like, I really had no like, and I'm thinking, oh, Miami's a city, like of course it's going to be a lot of Black people, but Miami, the history of Miami is very complex and intricate, and I can feel so much of like the tension. And it's tough. So being in Aventura, it's not as bad as like further south in Miami.
Yeah.
I'm close to Broward, praise the Lord, but not close enough, perhaps. Yeah.
Yo, it could be a lot worse though, man.
I'm sure.
And,
Yeah,
I was just telling my fiance the other day about a run-in I had with I was like 13. And 13 and being stupid. Cops can't touch me. 13 and being stupid. But they cuffed me and put me in the back seat. 13. And then we can get a whole other topic about, race relations between the different communities there.
Yeah.
Mine complex. It is, man. And I don't get me wrong, I loved it growing up, man. Such a place. To your point, I miss it. And then when I'm there for more than 2 weeks, I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Campus, like all people are just like Pop isn't glamorous, but then there are people like yourself, others that, just down to earth folk that just like to live in life.
Yeah, yeah. Every time I get to like Fort Lauderdale, I just drive on. I'm like, oh my god, it's black people. Like, wow, like, yeah. So it is black people here, but the black people here are like, where's the black people at? And I'm like, it's us, just us.
Yo, I live in San Antonio, and I promise you it's that way, fam. Man,
Wow.
whenever I go on a trip, even when I was in Scotland last week, they're like, "So where are you from?" I'm based in San Antonio, Texas. Scottish white folk are there black people in Texas? I'm like, yeah,
It,
nigga. So promise, like in San Antonio, the black folk who are here, like, where are the black folk at?
wow.
And they're everywhere. Black folk are here deep in San Antonio. The history and the culture is deep, yo. In San Antonio, it's
Wow.
crazy. But take people like us.
Yeah, I never really hear that about San Antonio. That's cool.
And they're about to have the third largest African American museum next year
Oh, wow.
here in San Antonio. It's crazy, yo. We've been interviewing and documenting the journey for the museum, and they're doing incredible work, yo. Black folk out here, there's a vibrant, creative, ambitious community out here, and that's really changing the narrative on the Black experience is in San Antonio from the ground up, which is one of the reasons I decided to stay out. I love the creative movement.
What's like the cultural context and backdrop of San Antonio? Like, is that heavily like discussed openly? Like, culturally, like, are people kind of aware of the history of San Antonio? And like, what's the discussion there?
It's, in many ways, man, San Antonio is a microcosm of the United States. In this sense, it's a very diverse city, predominantly Hispanic. You got a Tex-Mex restaurant on every goddamn corner.
I love that.
Predominantly Hispanic, but the wealth and power dynamic is disproportionately controlled by white folk, right? And then you have the number goes back and forth, 6 to 7% black folk. You have pockets of different ethnic nationality ethnic groups. So Chinese, Vietnamese, every country in the Middle East, you can pay Pakistan, Afghanistan, right? And then also throw in the fact that it's a lot of immigrants come to San Antonio because of its connection to Mexico and other Southern Central American countries. So you have a really diverse, holding up in the mirror essentially to the U.S. And also, just like the U.S., it struggles with telling its history accurately, right? Everyone has their different versions, but as the truth remains foundational, no one, right? It's like, well, no, this wasn't the role of slavery in the Alamo, which is very huge, San Antonio's big tourist attraction. And then you have the black community saying, well, no, we're not celebrating that because for that reason, right? It celebrated slavery, it condoned slavery, you use slaves, so on and so forth. So at least from the black experience, there is a tug and pull on what our culture and history looks like, specifically in San Antonio, and how that story is shared out.
Yeah.
Which again is why that museum is critically important. The Carver Cultural Center is one of the oldest theaters in the country, and it has held talent dating all the way back to the 20s up until, now it's internationally recognized as a very powerful theater. The city tried to tear it down some years back. Folks fought against that. And so you have that here in San Antonio. You have so much that they just also discovered that there are 60 Green Book locations in San Antonio.
Wow.
60 places where Black folk could go and travel to safely and freely when they were traveling throughout the South. And so they just discovered that last year. And so it's like, it's like we everywhere, history's everywhere.
Yeah.
And you just gotta, excavate it. And so that's what San Antonio is like from a cultural dynamic standpoint, and like how those cultures are sort of represented and then also intermingled, and, how that impacts politics, all that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like Miami struggles more than a lot of other places because of some of the people who immigrated here fairly recently. I feel like, Miami would have had this, difficult culture and history already, but then some of the other people who immigrated here who were racist, if they came in like the 70s, 80s, that again shifted the dynamics, and that's fairly recent. So it's like, it's this weird unspoken tension, and it's very interesting. And then it's like the history is then pushed further back. It's like so layered, but it does pique my curiosity. And as it frustrates me, it's like, I need to learn more about the city going on underneath the surface.
Does it drive you also? I know from a curiosity standpoint, oftentimes that can lead to just new ideas, new creative ideas. Does that ever does the place and how you're experiencing that place ever drive some of your creative ideas?
I could be more open to that because I think like, oh, if I lived in like Atlanta, I would be able to like do so many different things. But that's another way to look at it that I could be looking at it.
So what story can you tell
Yeah.
based on your Miami experience and how you were experiencing race and class and all those different
Yeah.
things, you know?
That's something to think about. Thank you.
No, it's all good. That's why I had to get to San Antonio because
Yeah.
I had to figure out a way to make it my own. And as a storyteller, I was like, all right, how can we look at this
Right.
racial experience that I'm having, this cultural dissatisfaction that I'm experiencing? How can these be, converted into compelling stories or narratives or what have you, or ideas to be shared? So yeah,
About that.
yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely research that I could do and more like communities and organizations that I could explore. I know that there's some art galleries and just I've seen some like shows come up that explore the history of Miami. And I think going and learning more about the history of Miami will help me like kind of balance out that feeling,
Yeah.
that tension and that frustration, like what was already here before and who did what to keep it hidden and why and how to form what I experience today. Yeah.
It's that pain of not knowing. It's like I gotta know. Especially like again as storytellers, you want to fill in the gaps to
Yeah.
complete the story. Yeah. Did you go to the American Black Film Festival when it was in Miami a couple years ago?
I think I was out of town and I was really mad because I was like, oh my God, I would love to go to that. And I think it was like during my birthday weekend too, but I was out of town when they were here. But I've been meaning to look into the dates because I think they're here every year.
Word. I thought they were bouncing around.
Oh, do they bounce? I thought they were here.
The year before. I think they were in now the year before.
Okay.
I think so, but I don't know. But you check it out. You should also check out and I'll send you a link, but Black Travel Summit.
Okay.
So Black Travel Summit is basically there's a couple of different Black conferences. Honestly, now that I know what you're doing, I'm going to connect you to some of these Black expat groups.
Okay.
I think you would love to hear their perspective. There's some in Bali, there's some in Portugal, Panama, all over. I won't bombard you. I'll send it, periodically.
Okay.
Black Travel Summit is a Black Travel Summit that brings together destinations, brands, travel creators, all this. It's really, really cool. And they held it last year in Fort Lauderdale. This year, I'm sorry, it's in Brazil.
Ooh.
It's international. I'll send you there. I believe it's in October this year. I'm definitely planning to be there. But the reason I'm saying it may be a cool spot for you, obviously the travel element, but they also added a film festival onto the summit last year, and it did really well. And you had creators and producers who are like really rooted in the travel space, sending in work that reflected that, but then also just maybe they're not in the travel space, but they're telling travel related, whole thing.
Okay.
So I'll send you that info. But Black Travel Summit in Brazil this year. So again, I love the international movement with a lot of different groups and a lot of our creators. Yep.
Yeah. That sounds really cool. I'm definitely interested in.
Yeah.
Please send me that. Yeah.
I got you. I'll send you that.
Amazing.
All right, yo. I'm gonna let you go.
Okay.
I appreciate this time, this chat. Yo, so how can people follow you? How can our creators apply for?
Yeah. Okay. So digitalinfluence.tv, the casting call is there. You can just click the casting and apply, submit your info. Anyone who wants to kind of stay up to date on any opportunities that I'm posting can just create their own membership there. It's free. Just put it, subscribe to the email list, basically. Yeah. Your name and your email. And then whenever I'm posting anything, you'll get the email. And then I'm not really big on social media, unfortunately.
Nigga, we know. I'm sorry, because I tried to find, I'm like, IG.
I have IG. I only accept people that I literally know. I don't it's like a private page. My LinkedIn, they could add me on LinkedIn.
We'll drop all the links.
Okay.
So we'll drop your link to your website.
And then, I do use TikTok. So on TikTok, I'm the Wilson Era.
Okay.
So yeah, I would say TikTok. I'm locked out of my Facebook. I think it got hacked or something. So that's over with. I used to post a lot on Facebook, the opportunities. So yeah, now I'm just on LinkedIn and TikTok pretty much. So, and then of course I post everything on Digital Influence.
we'll share all of that information. Yo, I really appreciate you, coming through and sharing this opportunity.
Yeah, it was a great conversation.
Of course, anytime. Thank y'all. I appreciate it. I'm gonna log off in 5, 4, 3, 2.